Not everyone gets to see their dreams become a reality, but Chris Lewington has done just that.
Chris, who hails from a frigid and mostly uninhabitable part of Canada called Brandon, Manitoba, has taken his dreams of making a watch from sketch to manufacturing to a real-life prototype. And that has to feel pretty good. Chris is a watch enthusiast and is himself known to review and photograph timepieces through his popular Instagram account at Island of Misfit Watches, which is currently verging on 9,000 followers.
So first and foremost, Chris is a watch enthusiast and collector.
Chris is also a military man. Professionally, he has made a career as an artillery officer in the Canadian military, where he admits that they are kinda obsessed with timing.
And for good reason.
While working in the military, Chris learned the importance of a timepiece that not only kept accurate time, but was also legible and durable. After breaking several watches in the field, he began to wonder if he could create a better purpose-built watch. The downtime of quarantine during 2020 provided the time and the motivation to do more than just dream about creating his purpose-built watch. Instead of merely binge-watching Netflix like many of us, Chris birthed the idea of Canister Watches as a passion project that combines his experience with watches and artillery. The combination is explosive.
I'm really sorry. I couldn't resist.
According to Chris, canister is an old school term used in the artillery world describing basically a huge buckshot. His logo is inspired by a World War II tactical symbol for an artillery observation post. As a former observation officer, the symbol has left an imprint on Chris, and you can find it printed on the dial and etched into the caseback and buckle.
I quite like this prototype. It evokes feelings of Marathon and IWC and even the Glycine Combat Sub, and really that's a good thing.
All strong, purpose-built watches appreciated by collectors and those who simply want a rugged and dependable timepiece. The version I have is white with a black chapter ring, but it also comes in blue and black.
Personally, I'd love to see a drab olive green version of this watch.
Beneath the sapphire crystal, the hour numbers are oversized and printed in black. There's a simple date cutout at the 3 and printed minutes at every 5. I assumed a military watch would have a 24-hour scale here, but in retrospect, printed minutes or seconds is likely more functional in an artillery application. When I asked him, Chris said it allows him to track minutes based upon a different 0 hour or H hour, and having minutes on the bezel allows him to quickly set it to a different H hour on the fly. Again, everything is purpose-built. The sword-shaped hands are filled with green C3 lume, as is the arrow tip on the seconds hand, and the hour markers around the outer chapter ring and the triangle at 12 on the unidirectional rotating bezel, which has a solid ratcheting feel to it with a little bit of backplay. I particularly enjoy the font on the bezel, which is set deep into the ceramic insert and contains numeric markings at 10-minute or second intervals, and hash marks the rest of the way around. And I appreciate that this field diver has a screw-down crown and thick gaskets to ensure that you can get this watch wet, as it has 200 meters of water resistance. The bezel, which is flush with the case, excluding the pronounced crown guards of course, measures 41.2 millimeters across with a lug to lug of 50.8 and a 20 millimeter lug opening, so it will take all kinds of straps. It's 12 millimeters thick, so it won't get caught up on gear out in the field or a shirt sleeve in church. The case is entirely brushed and possesses no unusually sharp edges.
On the whole, it has a very appealing tool aesthetic.
The caseback has been designed to replicate the base of an artillery casing, which is a real neat touch. But what impresses me more is Chris's choice of movement. He chose the Miyota 9015, which is a high-beat Japanese automatic movement that both hacks and hand winds, as well as being shock resistant.
As far as automatic watches go anyway.
I personally love this movement as it is quite accurate and possesses a smoothly sweeping seconds hand, like you would find in a Swiss ETA 2824, but at a fraction of the cost. I'd love to see more brands ditch the Seiko NH35 and 36 for the Miyota 9000 series movements. I just think they're fantastic.
But I do have some issues with this prototype, all of which I have already shared with Chris himself.
First is the crown. It is just too small. Not only does it look proportionally too small, but it's hard to use if you have gorilla fingers like me or wearing gloves out in the field. Second, the rotating bezel just doesn't line up. No matter how hard I try, I can't get it to where it needs to be. Third, the bracelet is nice enough, but the end links aren't milled correctly to follow the curve of the watch, and the male end link creates a very long lug to lug. Fortunately, I'm not the only one who has noticed these issues, and Canister is already planning to address all three issues by enlarging the crown, fixing the Seiko-esque alignment, and reformatting the bracelet to not only follow the curve of the lugs and case, but also to protrude less by a few millimeters. Plus, if you don't like the bracelet, it does come on a pretty great waffle strap, and Chris is exploring the inclusion of a NATO strap as well. I should also mention that the loom is decent, but not amazing. Better than my Hamilton field watches, but worse than a Seiko diver. But in my experience, loom on prototypes is usually pretty weak.
So all in all, I am a big fan of this Fieldmaster by Canister Watches.
It has a clear purpose and direction in its design and implementation, and you can tell that it was designed by a watch enthusiast. Of course, only time will tell if the launch is successful and what the final product will turn out to be.
Well, the watch itself is going to be priced around $299 US, and that will be a Kickstarter launch. So please make sure you subscribe to Canister Watches on Instagram and follow them on their website, because you're going to want to know when that goes live. I'll be sure to make sure that I let everyone know as well through my social media and here on YouTube. So keep your eye out for that. Well, I'd like to thank Chris for sending in this prototype. I always appreciate it when I am entrusted with something so precious as somebody's dream come true. I really appreciate that, Canister Watches and Chris. And I'd like to thank all of you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to be kept up to date on more watch content. Have a great day, and God bless.